Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. After a long month break, this Saturday is UFC Vegas 46. We finally get a UFC card. It feels like forever, but luckily we're finally getting some fights this Saturday. On the main card, we have an amazing flyweight fight between Brandon Royval and Rogério Bontorin, and this is going to be my full breakdown and prediction for this fight. And, there's not a lot of great fights on this card. The main event is really good. Giga Chikadze versus Calvin Kattar, which I will also be doing a breakdown and prediction video for. But I figured it was worth it to do a breakdown and prediction for this flyweight fight because I absolutely love it. So if you look at the tail of the tape, Brandon Royval is currently ranked number 5. Bontorin ranked number 7. They are both 29 years old. Royval is 5'9". Bontorin is 5'5". Royval has a 70.5-inch reach, while Bontorin has a 67-inch reach. So a bit of a reach advantage and a bit of a height advantage for Brandon Royval, super lengthy. You look at Rogério Bontorin's resume, and it's not all that great. He's fought some good fighters, but he's lost to some good fighters. He comes in on a one-fight win streak. His last fight was at UFC 262 back in May of last year, and he beat Matt Schnell. And this performance wasn't that great. He won the fight, but it wasn't that great. But you have to take into an account that he stepped in on short notice. He wasn't able to make weight. So it really wasn't peak Rogério Bontorin. Before that, he lost at UFC 259 against Kai Kara-France. He actually did really well in this fight, and he dominated the first 4 minutes or so. He was able to take Kai Kara-France down, hold him down, control him on the ground, had the body triangle at multiple points throughout the fight, was looking to lock up a neck crank or a rear naked choke multiple times. Kai Kara-France fights out of it and then sleeps him on the feet right after he gets up. He shucks him off the back, gets up, throws hands, and knocks him out. And we know what kind of power Kai Kara-France has. He just recently knocked out Cody Garbrandt. And we know Kai Kara-France is the elite of the elite at flyweight. And a lot of people, I feel like, for years have been given the flyweight division talking about how bad it is. But I really think the flyweight division is just getting better and better each and every year. And I think this is an amazing fight. Now, before that, he had a loss to Ray Borg where he was basically controlled in the wrestling and grappling. Ray Borg was able to push him against the fence, control him, take him down, and just win out a unanimous decision. Before that, I wanted to mention this. He has a TKO win over Raulian Paiva, the same guy that people are elevating Sean O'Malley off of. So he got a TKO over Raulian Paiva. It was a doctor stoppage back in August of 2019. Other than that, not a lot of great names on his resume. Bontorin looked really good in the Kai Kara-France fight before he got stopped. But other than that, the Matt Schnell fight is a decent win. And I know he came in on short notice, but he didn't look all that impressive. It was a very boring fight. Nothing really super impressive. Matt Schnell didn't look too good. But, again, they were both kind of fighting a last-minute opponent, even if Schnell was already on the card. He was preparing for, I think it was Alex Perez at that point in time. So you look over at Brandon Royval. And if you're not familiar with Brandon Royval, I don't know how you can't be, but if you aren't, just, everyone doesn't see every fight. Please go back and watch some of his fights because it seems like every fight that he is in is absolutely amazing and insane. His last fight was a loss against Alexandra Pantoja. He lost via submission, via rear naked choke. And this fight was highly competitive. And honestly, if you were watching it, it almost looked like the tide was getting ready to turn in Brandon Royval's favor. And, they ended up on the ground. I think it was Royval shucked off a takedown, kind of got in too close. Eventually, Pantoja kind of tied him up a little bit. Then I think they broke. And then I think what happened was Royval threw some strikes. And it was very similar to Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier, where he threw a left. Royval's constantly pressuring. He threw a left. Pantoja ducked underneath of it, got his back, jumped up on his back, took him to the ground or dragged him to the ground, and ended up locking up a deep rear naked choke. And Pantoja has 2 wins over Brandon Moreno. So that goes to show you how good Brandon Royval was, because this was a very competitive fight. Again, it was just Royval, little bit of trouble with his takedown defense. His fight before that against Brandon Moreno, current flyweight champion, was an excellent fight, a very competitive fight. He was landing on Brandon Moreno multiple times, but Brandon Moreno was able to take him down. And this fight had a very weird ending because Brandon Royval was looking to roll for a leg lock or something like that, and he popped out his shoulder. And if you look at the highlights, the ending that they'll show is kind of Brandon Moreno ground and pounding him to a finish. But really, that was a product of his shoulder had popped out of socket, and he was just unable to defend himself. He was laying face down. But up until that point, it was a very competitive fight. I thought Brandon Moreno, maybe had edged that round. It ended at the very end of the first round. And Brandon Moreno maybe just edged it out just because he had takedowns and control throughout the round. But it was a super competitive fight. Royval was tagging Brandon Moreno on the feet multiple times. And look where Brandon Moreno is now, current flyweight champion. Before that, in the last fight I'm really going to talk about when it comes to Brandon Royval, is his Kai Kara France performance. That was back at UFC 253 in September of 2020. And what an amazing fight that was. Kai Kara France tags him early, hurts Royval bad. He kind of drops to a knee, gets back up, lands a spinning back elbow, and brutally hurts Kai Kara France on the feet. And eventually, Kai Kara France kind of recovers. It's a crazy fight. He tags Royval. They're both going back and forth. Royval has that funky style where he's got his hands low most of the time. Eventually, Kai Kara France decides, I'm going to shoot him on a takedown. And immediately, Brandon Royval sees it, locks up a tight guillotine, and submits Kai Kara France. What an excellent win. And I'm not going to talk about it too much because I don't remember it all that well, but he also has a win over Tim Elliott, and I think Tim Elliott is highly underrated at flyweight, and he won that fight via arm triangle. Tim Elliott almost, had a very competitive fight with Demetrius Johnson. So you look at Brandon Royval's resume, great names on his resume, even in the fights he lost. They were very competitive. So as far as my prediction for this fight, and, I kind of toss this back and forth because, Bontorin has nasty power. I think he's a little bit bigger flyweight. But Brandon Royval, this guy just has such amazing skills. And I really think he has title potential in the future. I think if he keeps improving, keeps learning, I think he could be a title challenger. I am going to go with Brandon Royval via second round TKO. I think Bontorin's going to come in, look to pressure him, look to chop the legs, look to take him down, press him up against the cage. But Brandon Royval has nasty submissions. And this guy, I've talked about this when I've talked about Tony Ferguson before, and it's weird that I'm comparing Brandon Royval and Tony Ferguson. Brandon Royval does not ever accept the position. So if you take him down and you're trying to control him, he's constantly looking to reverse, to sweep, to look for submission attempts. This guy does not quit, and his stamina doesn't seem to be affected at all. So I feel like he can outpace a lot of guys. I think if the Pantoja fight would have gone a little longer, I think he would have outpaced him. But I think Bontorin's going to come in, try to bully him, try to take him down, try to chop the legs. But Brandon Royval, he has to know, we've seen it in previous fights. The strategy to beat him is to come in and take him down and hold him down. He has to know that's what Bontorin's going to try to do. I think he has the jiu-jitsu if he does get taken down to avoid the submission game of Bontorin. And I think his striking is much better than Bontorin's. He's got a funky style. He keeps the hands very low. He pressures, but he throws such a variety of attacks. He's looking for spinning back elbows constantly. He's looking for step-in knees to the body and head. This guy is just a maniac. Every single fight he's in is super exciting. So I really believe he's going to, as the fight goes on, I think the first round will be competitive, but I think that Bontorin is going to get clipped up quite a bit. I think he'll land shots of his own. I think he'll tag the legs of Brandon Royval. But I think eventually, as the fight goes on, Bontorin's going to start to wear down a little bit. He might get a takedown or two in that first round, but Brandon Royval will not accept the position. He will fight back to his feet. Similar to what Kai Kara France did. Bontorin was able to control Kai Kara France, but Kai Kara France was able to get back to his feet, and I don't think Kai Kara France has the same level of scrambling ability that Brandon Royval does. So I think if he does get taken down, he will be able to get back to his feet, and then he'll immediately go back to work, pressuring Bontorin, looking to land combinations, looking to land knees to the body, knees to the head, throwing the hands, throwing spinning techniques. I think he'll eventually clip him, hurt him badly, knock him down, and finish him via TKO in the second round. But I believe this will be a very entertaining flyweight fight. And I believe Brandon Royval, even with the losses, and he's coming in on a 2-fight losing streak while Bontorin's coming in on a 1-fight winning streak, I think Royval's only a couple wins away from making his way towards a flyweight title. I just think he's a great fighter. I think he has a lot of excellent skills, but he really needs to work on the takedown defense. We've seen guys throughout their careers who just have terrible takedown defense. They're very well-rounded fighters, but they have terrible takedown defense throughout the majority of their career. I hope he's not one of those guys. I hope he works on it. He has great jiu-jitsu. He has great stamina. He has great scrambling ability. He has great techniques. He has great overwhelming striking where, he just put volumes on guys, and it's not half-power punches. He's throwing nasty power with these strikes. So I just really hope that he takes some time, works out his takedown defense, And I think in this fight, he will be able to beat Bontorin. And I think we have a very bright future for Brandon Royval. I'm very interested to see how he does in 2022. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who are you guys predicting to win this fight? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And thank you so much for watching.